I've worked with many of the most successful and celebrity billionaires on the planet for going into my third decade. And I've worked very intimately helping them scale their empires, get their financial lives to the next level, and also calibrate their lifestyles, because a lot of these people are very successful in business, but their personal lives are a mess. And their interior lives are even more difficult because they haven't spent a lot of time refilling the well, building self-love, working on their physical fitness, dialing in their nutrition, doing things like meditation. A lot of these people, journaling is new to them. A weekly nature walk is new to them. My proprietary protocol, the Second Wind workout, is new to them. The 60-minute student ritual that I teach is new to them. So literally they're great in business, but the rest of their life is often, let's just say, in a state of acute deterioration. So I've worked with a lot of the most successful on the planet in their business lives. I've taught them this goal setting process. I've worked with a lot of the most successful firms on the planet, whether it's a Starbucks, a General Electric. I've worked with the Coca-Cola company, senior leaders there, Microsoft, IBM, Nike, FedEx. It just goes on. And I only mention that to simply say, this process has worked very well. It's been fireproofed and battle tested with many of the most successful business leaders in the world, and also some of the artists and athletes that I work with. And it doesn't just apply to your business life. I want to make that very clear. It'll apply to every core area. So really, this is the goal setting process for empire makers, whatever your empire looks like. It could be a financial empire, a business empire, a creative empire, a spiritual empire. Let's go. Starting point number one of this process. Clarity is the DNA of mastery. So if you look at the titans of business, the true leaders in finance, these people literally will say, look at my charts. If you look at a great military leader, you look at a great athlete, they have such granular, in a world of superficiality, they have shifted to massive granularity so they know in intimate detail exactly what their future timeline will look like. Why? Because clarity breeds and builds and is the DNA of mastery. You want to have a very clear vision of what your future is going to look like. Now, we have a lot of science coming out that kind of work, a lot of the work of positive psychologists will tell you an intimate, clear, written picture of what your future will look like recodes and recalibrates your subconscious mind. And then you start blocking out the noise and you listen to the signal, because every day we're allowing in thousands of influences. It could be the air conditioner, it could be the noise in the background, it could be the cell phone. And when you know in intimate detail what your future will look like, then you automatically, subconsciously as well as consciously, can say no to the important. So you say a giant yes to the few things that are most important. You've heard me share this before. Confucius said it so well. The person who chases two rabbits catches neither. And so what I'm encouraging you to do is this exercise before you go to sleep tonight. Let's make this very tactical. I call it the 100-year timeline. On a single page from where you now are, 100 years out into your ideal future. I want you every single milestone on a single line to say, here's where I now am. Here's what's going to happen next week, next month, next quarter, next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, 50 years, 75 years, 1 year, 100 years, until you have a 100-year timeline. World class comes from instinct versus intelligence. You get your best ideas when you get out of your thinking. And just to give you some neuroscience, the seat of reasoning is the prefrontal cortex, but there's a phenomenon I teach in my live events called transient hypofrontality. This is the secret of genius. Geniuses don't get their ideas for Uber, Amazon, the electric bulb, Tesla, Shakespeare, the polio vaccination, SpaceX. Great ideas don't come from the intellects. They don't come from the neocortex reasoning and thinking. All great heroes and great inventors and great creators dialed into something deeper. When you get out of your neocortex through solitude and my life structure that I teach called the tight bubble of total focus, and when you get away from distraction and you immerse yourself in deep creativity and creation, and you find your laboratory, or what I call your Menlo Park, like Edison had his Menlo Park, which was with the wilderness away from the world, what happens? The prefrontal cortex gets silent, and it's called transient, which means temporary, transient hypo, small, frontality. The neocortex, the seat in your brain of thinking, actually shuts down for a short period of time. This is profound information and will confirm your brain is built for genius. But if you don't do the right things, you're not going to be able to allow the genius to see the light of day. I've spent a lot of time understanding, researching this, building out calibrated models. You drop into a state. The first time I ever read it was about 20 years ago. One of my favorite books, Flow, by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, University of Chicago. The subtitle of the book is The Psychology of Optimal Experience. He found the best hockey players. Gretzky. Remember what Gretzky said? I go to where the puck is going, not to where the puck is. The great athletes, the great inventors, the great writers, when you do a yoga class and your thinking stops, it's because you have dropped into a state that Mihai Csikszentmihalyi called flow. When the Navy SEALs do amazing things on their military missions, we are now finding through research, they are in a state of flow. They're not in their thinking, they're in the deeper state of genius that lies within every one of us. This is revolutionary information. It means that every child, man, woman, entrepreneur, creative person, firefighter, police officer, pizza maker, taxi driver has genius within them, but no one's been taught, very few people have been taught this information that you're getting for free. The key point I want to offer to you here is when your brain drops into transient hypofrontality, and when you reach that state of flow, your brain actually starts to create a pharmacy of mastery. You release dopamine, the inspirational neurotransmitter, so your brain starts feeling like it's alive. It's like your brain on steroids. That's not a good term. It's like your brain is supercharged. You release serotonin, the pleasure neurotransmitter. You feel happy. You release oxytocin. And your brain becomes next level superhuman. You have this within you. I need to repeat that. We don't learn this in school. We don't learn this in business. We don't learn this in a lot of courses, live events. Transient hypofrontality is the DNA of genius. A lot of great geniuses, Edison, Einstein, Tolstoy, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Sergey Brin, the Google guys, Zuckerberg, Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, Mother Teresa. A lot of the great geniuses, they didn't know this process because now science is catching up with what the philosophers have said for thousands of years. We have greatness within us. And now because neuroscience and research and psychoneuroimmunology and the new emerging field of epigenetics, which confirms your thinking, turns on certain genes which affect your immunity. Now we believe in positive thinking. And now because science and data wonderfully is backing it up through research, society now embraces positive thinking. Society now embraces epigenetics. Society now embraces a culture of caring and compassion. Society now builds enterprises like Whole Foods and Tom Shoes, one of our clients, and loves companies like that where there's giving back. Society now understands, you know what, you can be a great leader, but go take your nature walk. Society is now talking about mindfulness and meditation, like at Google. It's amazing what's happening in the world today. Phenomenal. I'm just suggesting to you, there were people thousands of years ago who were onto the greatness and the hero inside of you right now. And the beautiful thing is, neuroscience is, for example, is confirming, yeah, you have a genius level brain, but you've got to work it, and you've got to hardwire it, and you've got to re-engineer it through doing the right things every day. So you want to just understand the brain is a muscle. You don't have the brain that you were born with. You have the brain that you've earned right now. Once you know your 100-year timeline, then I work with my one-on-one clients, the billionaires and the icons, to reverse engineer, reverse sequence the next 100 years. So you literally say, okay, here's where I want to be at the end and my legacy, because 100 years, maybe you don't have 100 years. Having said that, Ray Kurzweil over at Google, who's really hacking longevity, said live long enough so you live forever. And a lot of people are saying if you live another 35 years with the technology and medicines and supplementation, you're going to be able to live for hundreds of years. And if that's a disruptive idea, great, because that's my job. And that's what the science is starting to show us through epigenetics and supplementation and the new advances in medical technology. Larger point, you've got a 100-year timeline, reverse sequence it, reverse engineer it back to today. So you just say, here's what needs to happen 75 years out, 50 years out, et cetera, et cetera. In a world of superficiality, really build in some granularity. That's a gargantuan competitive advantage. In a world with a lot of people, where a lot of business people, a lot of leaders, a lot of your friends, what needs to happen next year for this to be the best year of your professional life, your personal life, your financial life, your physical life, your spiritual life, your love life? I don't know. Most people spend a lot more time on their summer vacations, a lot more time flipping through the social media versus architecting a world-class life. You want to be one of those rare few, my brain tattoo, to have the results only 5% of the population have. You've got to be willing to do what 95% of the population are unwilling to do. And one of those things, don't be superficial. Don't live a superficial life. Don't have a superficial game plan. Fireproof yourself against superficiality and really understand this concept I've been teaching called granularity. When I work with the NBA athletes who come into my rooms at my events, when I work with the titans, the billionaires, the celebrity CEOs you read about, these people are anything but superficial. They are granular. And you can call them obsessed, you can call them obsessive, you can call them weird, freaks, kooks, misfits. So what? Call them what you want. That's just a label. I'm reporting on reality. These are people who will say, let me show you my battle plan for the next 80 days and the next 5 years. And they will walk you through the reverse sequencing I'm sharing with you.